You have been using JavaScript to create web pages inside of AppLab, and now you might be wondering, how do I create web pages outside of AppLab? Let's do that. Let's just create the simplest possible web page. And before we even include JavaScript, this is going to involve using a technology called HTML, which is kind of like another programming language, but it's basically what structures web pages, and it's the code that forms the skeleton of every page on the web virtually. So how do you create a web page with HTML? Well, let's get outside of AppLab, and we need a text editor. So not Pages or not WordPerfect or not what you're used to using, but you want to be able to write in plain text format. So on the Mac, you can use this thing called TextEdit. And the first thing to know is that you have to make it plain text. And we are going to use this to create an HTML page. So let's, the very first thing we need to write is this tag that tells the browser, so this is going to be read by your Chrome, by your internet browser, that tells the browser that this is an HTML document. And let's just zoom in a little bit so we can see it better. So we've got this doc type HTML. That tells the browser, hey, this is an HTML document. And the document starts with an HTML tag, that's an opening tag, and then it closes with an HTML closing tag. And so a tag is indicated by the lesser than sign and then the greater than sign. And then this is an opening tag, and then you indicate that it's a closing tag with the /. So these are HTML tags. And the most basic skeleton has a head, and you don't actually see any of what's in there on the web page. And then it also has a body. And so the body is where you put information that actually shows up on the web page. So this is the most basic HTML skeleton. And just like in JavaScript, indentation is important. It doesn't change how this is read or displayed, but it makes it much easier to read. So we indent these head and body tags to show that they are inside the HTML tag. And we have a web page. So how does the computer know it's a web page? So we have to save it as an HTML file. So we come in here and we save, and we tell the computer this is an HTML file by this .html, by the file extension, and that tells it what kind of file it is. So if this was a JavaScript file, we'd say .js, and Chrome would know, hey, this is a JavaScript file. If it was Python code, we'd save it with a .py. If it was C# code, we'd save it with a .cs. This is HTML, so we're going to save it with a .html. And we'll save it, and we get a little warning that we've used the extension HTML at the end. The standard is .txt, but we do want to use .html. Okay, so this tells our browser that we have an HTML document. So if we come over to Chrome and go to a new tab, so how do you actually run an HTML page in your browser? Well, in Chrome, you can do Command-O, and then you can select the document. So we called it hello, and we can open it, and there's our web page. It's absolutely nothing, because all we've done is put the skeleton of HTML together, but we haven't actually put anything on the page. So let's just very quickly put one thing on the page. So we come back here to our text editor, and in between the body tags, the body is where you put stuff that's going to be viewed on the page. Let's put a paragraph tag. This is one of the most common and simplest tags. It's just a P. And between these tags, we write what we want to see on the page. So right like that. Opening paragraph tag, closing paragraph tag. And let's just write hello world. Kind of the standard thing you do when you're learning a new technology. You just make this work. So there we go. This is kind of like a label in AppLab, right? So if you can think of this, the HTML on a real web page is kind of like the design tab in AppLab, so we're basically creating a label screen element here that says hello world. And we have to make sure that we save the file, Command S, And then we can come back over here to our browser, back to our web page, and we'll hit the refresh button, and voila, hello world. So there you go. That's from App Lab to the most basic HTML page.